Hello folks, how's it going? I have been working on another video to do with Moonstone, an old game that I played when I was a lad, but I'm just doing this little quick one because I got caught up in the FOMO of Helldivers 2. And I love Starship Troopers, and I love all the work of Paul Verhoeven, and I love the message that that film is giving you. But I wasn't necessarily going to go in on Helldivers 2. But it seemed like it was building sort of momentum and people were talking about it. And long story short, I basically got the FOMO. So I did, because it's reasonably priced. It's not very expensive, given other titles that come out and everything. And I think you're putting a pin in that for later, because obviously this is kind of intended to be like a mid-level title or something like that. So that is kind of reflected in some of the problems that it's had, because there have been problems. So for instance, when I bought this game, it was unsteady to say the least, but driven by the concept, I thought, well, I'll have a go. I started playing it on my own, and the first couple of games I got totally wrecked. But I played through enough missions so that I got the hang of what I was supposed to generally do, using the stratagems, pulling down sort of airstrikes, stuff like that. So I got used to it enough that I felt confident enough that, okay, I think you really need other people to play it with. Now, I don't really have other people to play it with. There might be some other people at work who might play it. I might get to do that at some point. And I will say that if you're playing it with friends, this would be much more fun for that reason. But just playing it with other people in general is a hell of a lot of fun, and probably more fun, I think, because it just takes some of the pressure off. Like when I was playing it on my own, I just felt kind of fucking hounded at all times, which is another good thing about the game, that feeling of pressure, and I'll get into that in a bit as well. But I tried to play it multiplayer, tried to do like a quick match, because I'm looking for something that will take the place of sort of Dark Tide, where I can go in, jump in with some other people, don't really have to communicate with them, although there's always someone every now and then, every couple of games, someone wants to turn their mic on and act like they are a military champion or whatever floats your boat.
Hello.
Personally, I like these games because once you grasp it, I don't really think you need to speak to each other. You can use the communication to sort of say thank you and stuff like I would in Dark Tide. But personally, I haven't had time to use that in this game because something else is trying to fucking kill me. But when you do play with a group of people, it does mean that you've got a little extra breathing space, and therefore you feel like you're kicking ass a bit more. So it makes you feel sort of like you're like this. I think that is the way the game is meant to be played. But, and this is one of the criticisms that I think probably a lot of people have had, is that along with the fact that you end up having to queue forever to get into this game, matchmaking is just fucked. It doesn't work, or it didn't work. Again, put a pin in that for later. I would go to matchmake and it wouldn't do anything. It would just hang. I read online, I googled about a bit, and it said that you were supposed to, you know, add little tips on how you can get into the game if you do this and then go into the mission, then throw down your SOS and then go back out again, and a whole palaver. And anyway, and I started to think like, maybe it is what it is. It's not going to be, not for me. Along with the servers, there was the issue of like people just idling in the game. Obviously, that was stopping other people from logging in, and I believe that was brought to the attention of Arrowhead Game Studios. And as a result, I believe that they've employed more devs to deal with the extra traffic that was obviously coming in, because they obviously did not really expect it to be as popular as it was. I ain't going to go into all the Steam stats and everything, but apparently it's been pretty damn popular. So yeah, I can see why. Because like I said before, even just on the premise alone, Starship Troopers, like a snide Starship Troopers, the Starship Troopers that you could buy down the market that's got like, a sort of like a legally distinct name. And in this case, that's Helldivers 2. So that is, a tempting proposition anyway. And the movie that they play at the beginning has all the trappings of a Verhoeven film. That kind of like slightly comical sort of parody element. you know, if you've seen the advertising for this, you've probably had a chuckle and you've probably loved the idea of like shouting "Get some democracy" or something as you shoot up a load of bugs. So with that, they obviously worked hard, and apparently they were quite transparent, and they were, you know, talking with the fans to try and sort of get this going. And they did. They obviously, whatever they did, it worked, because there is still some queuing for servers I've had at times, but in general they basically put in a thing that like if you idle you'll just get kicked. And with that they must have fixed the matchmaking, because a certain patch got released. I thought I'd give it one last go, try and connect to some randoms and play a game, and now pretty much as soon as I can like go to connect, it just connects for me, I'm straight in. And so when I did actually get into the game, that's when it really, like with other people, that's when it really started to shine. And it's not often that, like, you know, I feel a bit cynical about most things, but it's not often that I play a game where I was actually like expressing sounds out loud, like as I killed something, or as me and a teammate sort of took some big bug down and narrowly avoided death, and as you sort of run and jump and dive out of the way of stuff, and your character shouts things out like "How'd you like the taste of democracy?" as you shoot a bug in the face. That all felt really good. So I think that the game does have some issues around like the monetization. You don't have to pay for anything, but I've seen other people review it and sort of have a little bit of a moan that you can kind of like get ahead by buying certain passes and then getting access to certain guns. And yeah, probably like I've literally just finished playing a mission, and I could see that someone who was higher level than me, so again that could just be that they've ground out those levels and bought those guns, because there is a system where you get commendations and you get in various different currencies, and you can use that to unlock sort of support stratagems that you can call down from your mothership, and also you can buy different guns and cosmetics, and the guns do have stats attached to them, so you get like they do actually do something. Like you start with an assault rifle and it's a bit pony, and then you can get things like a shotgun and like a rifle. And I can see when I scroll through like some of the shop, or essentially like your loadout area for your personal guns, I can see that there is assault rifles and stuff later down the line, and those are probably what you want to get to be able to do more damage. Because when I've played certain levels, I have seen teammates who are like just blowing shit up, and I've got well, because of the gun that I've chose, I've got to pump loads of bullets into it and it's doing fuck all. But I don't really give a shit about that, because when you're playing it, you know, it is enjoyable, and as they say in Starship Troopers, I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part. I'm pumping bullets into the shitty little bugs or whatever, or I'm calling support actions down for the team, or someone gets killed and you can throw down like a resurrection ball or something, and that allows someone to sort of come back into the game. So, you know, I am doing my part. With that mentioned about calling things down, every time you call things down you have to hold, I'm playing on the PC, so I'm playing on the keyboard and mouse, and you have to hold down control and then use your WASD to sort of like do a little code, like a cheat code, like up, down, left, right, whatever, for the different stratagems that you've chosen in your loadout. So like I said before, where there's this kind of sort of urgency to everything, it gets real sweaty when everything's sort of coming at you, and having to tap in that code does actually make it feel it's like I've got to get enough distance, and then I quickly stop tapping that code as quick as I can, and then oh shit, I fucked it up, I've got to do it again, and then I throw down my ball and that'll resurrect someone else, and then I'll run round this corner here, and then I'll like, can I call down something else? And like maybe it'll be like a bomber will fire like a torpedo from space, or a beam from space, or maybe it'll be that it'll fire down like a advanced, what they call it, advanced weaponry, so like it then opens up and I can grab the machine gun out of it, and then I've got like a heavy duty machine gun that I can use to like shoot everything. Some things require you to stop to reload them. Some other guns you can reload them as you go. You've got like a dive function, so you could dive out the way of shit, and I'm constantly diving as something's running towards me, and then spinning around and trying to shoot it in the face, and then diving again and running here and there. Now that might be a sign that I'm just not very good at the game, but it don't really matter, because it actually makes it pretty exciting when you're always just about avoiding death. And all of your stratagems that you're calling down, they're all on sort of like a cooldown, so you're waiting for the next time that becomes available, the next time that you can throw down some mines. And I mention mines because there is friendly fire in this game. This isn't like, you know, Destiny or, as I mentioned, Darktide earlier, where apart from the character making like a noise about, oh, you shot me, nothing really happens. In this game, if I shoot you, you fucking die. Very much like in Starship Troopers. And so, if you throw down a sentry gun and then you run in front of it, it might well just fucking shoot through you to get to the bug. And, for instance, I had a stratagem in my hand that I was going to throw. I was looking for the best place to throw down this thing that fucking spins mines out and mines a whole area of land, so that if anything runs through it, they will blow up. And of course, you can sort of, you can press tab and you can bring up your little sort of, it basically brings up a little map and you can see the dots coming at you, so you can see where they're coming from. So I'm looking for like where I'm going to throw this thing. But like then I got like jostled by something or knocked by a blast to the floor, and rather than it keeps it in my hand, it made me drop it. So it dropped it on the floor and it just deployed it there. So therefore I'd now deployed like a whole load of like a minefield right in the middle of like the fucking battlefield where we're trying to sort of, you know, defend from. And so that caused sort of havoc. But it's just on a moment to moment basis, it's just really enjoyable just running around. And like a lot of the times when I've played it and I've sort of finished a mission, I've let out a big sigh where it's like that was getting, you know, I could feel myself tensing up as I'm just trying to desperately hang on and not die. And I think that you almost get the best of both worlds here, because you get to go down and do the missions where you're sort of fighting the bugs. And I found when I've been doing those, there's a lot more like running across the map, doing every sort of side objective, and the main objectives like destroying like a cluster of eggs or powering up a communication station or something. But it seems like when you're fighting the bugs, there's more time for you to roam around and be sort of more tactical, whereas you've then got, aside from feeling like you're in Starship Troopers, you can also feel like you're in the Terminator movies, because they've got the automatons and you got to fight them. And those missions, they're like Terminators, and those missions feel different in as much as you're not really. It doesn't feel, well, I've not done as many, but it doesn't feel. Partly is also because I feel like I'm fucking way under leveled for them, but I just wanted to have a crack at them because they looked interesting. But those missions are more like you've got to drop in and defend a point, so they're continually like, just like Terminator. Like this game is essentially riding the line of like of like intellectual property, you know, non-distinct Terminators, non-distinct Starship Troopers bugs. Either way, it does feel like, especially when sometimes there's like smoke blowing in or it's night time and you can't see things clearly, and you could just see another dropship coming in and dropping a load of Terminators down, and they're coming at you and they're relentless. And that really felt like I recently just played one of those missions and I only narrowly made it back to my ship. And that's one of the exciting things, a bit like in Deep Rock Galactic, but way more sweaty. Like Deep Rock Galactic, at the end of your mission, pod comes down, you've got to get back to a certain point to be picked up and extracted. But in this one, and I know like in Deep Rock Galactic you run and, you know, you're running along and the music's sort of thumping, but in this one it just feels like there's more, like especially in those Terminator levels, I felt like I was clinging on for dear life. And like you'll see some of the footage is probably playing now of me literally running in circles, waiting for the dropship to come down, diving, spinning around, trying to shoot someone in front of me, running again, always trying to keep out of the way as they come, just never ending running towards you. And one of the other things about this game is that the sound is great and the music's good as well. So when you complete the mission, it says that the mission's complete, you're ready for sort of pickup. So you're getting towards the end, and then this kind of like actiony music starts to swell, and it makes you feel like, shit, we're doing it, we're really fucking doing it. And I just fucking running around the extraction zone, just dodging, and just like you dived into the back of the dropship, and then you get extracted and you fly away, and it's just I don't know what the deal will be for this, like in terms of like end game, or how much it will really matter. Each time you win, you do go up a difficulty level, and you can play whichever one you want, whichever difficulty level you want. But you keep going up difficulty levels, and I don't know how many there are, and I don't know, you know, like with a lot of these games, I want this game for a certain thing. I want to be able to sort of drop in and play a couple of missions and then fuck it off again. Like I don't want to get caught in a grind, and that may well be part of it. But if you just want to kind of play at like a certain challenge level, then perhaps it won't matter, because as I said, I don't need to know about fucking lore. You're basically just trying to fend off and sort of liberate planets by doing these individual missions with other people. And there's a few different types of missions, and they're all quite enjoyable. They're all quite easy to understand, so you don't have to worry too much about complexity or anything like that. And you can, I think that you can just take this as it is. But maybe as I play more, it will become apparent that like I do need certain weapons, or I do need certain stuff, and I can grind for that, and I obviously am earning currency and I'm unlocking certain things, and there's a little element of like cosmetics within this that I've bought into a few cosmetic. I ain't paid no money apart from what I paid for the base game, but mechanically I find it very enjoyable, and I think that there's quite, apart from that obviously there has been some crashes and bits and pieces, not many for me admittedly, but I've only played about 14 hours so far in fits and spurts. But I do think there is a nice layer of polish on this, like from the way bugs like blast apart as you shoot them, to the way the guns sound, to the sound of like your orbital strike hitting the ground, to when you come back to your mothership that you get to name, and as you emerge from your pod you're all kind of like frosty because you've been in space and stuff. Like just it does, I think there's a layer of polish on this, and I think that maybe at this point in time, given that this they seem to have solved a lot of those initial problems in fairly quick order, given that it released on the 8th of Feb and I'm recording this on the 25th. I think that Arrowhead should probably be sort of praised in certain way for getting it to where it is. Let's just hope that they haven't like gone too far and hired a load of people that they might need to fire at a later date. But I think pretty good game, very enjoyable. I would recommend. I think it's probably going to replace Darktide as that kind of like brainless jump. Well, it's not totally brainless because there is, you do have to think about it, but it'll probably replace Darktide as that kind of game. Drop in, blow the shit out of a load of stuff, and then shoot off again. Maybe, if you like the sound of this game, maybe I'll see you and we can defend democracy together.